Good morning, students. In the units and measurement chapter, today we will discuss about the errors in the measurement. Okay. Now here you can see here the flowchart already we have seen in the previous class also. So the same flowchart is here. But now what we have to do, what we have to study here? We have to study about the you can see the errors and the significant figures. So errors in measurement. So what are the errors that will be occur in the measurement while performing any practical or while taking any reading in the you can see the experiments. So one by one we will discuss. First one is the random error. Then what is random error? So any factor that randomly affect measurement, any factor that randomly affect measurement of variable across the sample. For instance, if the person's mood can be influence or deflect performance on any occasion. Random error adds variability to the data but does not affect average performance for the group. Then the types of error you can say here: absolute error, relative error and percentage error. These are the three things, that is absolute error, relative error and percentage error. Now what is absolute error here? The magnitude of the difference between, it's a difference between the individual measurement value and the true value. True value means nothing but the correct value of the quantity is called the absolute error of the measurement. It is denoted by delta A or modulus of delta A. Note that in absence of any other method of knowing true value, we consider arithmetic mean of the true value here. The error in the individual measurement value from the given value R, you can see here delta A1, that means error in the measurement value from the true value. Delta A1 means A1 minus A mean. Now how will calculate the A mean here? Suppose you are having the n number of data, then you can take the arithmetic mean, that is sum of all the numbers divided by total number. You will get the arithmetic means, that is nothing but your A mean here. So delta A1 is equal to A1 minus A mean. Delta A2 is equal to A2 minus A mean. So on, delta AN is equal to AN minus A mean. So delta A is calculated above by the maybe a positive or negative value, but in absolute error we have to take the modulus of delta A, that will be always positive here, that you have to keep it in mind. The arithmetic mean of all the absolute error is taken in the final or mean absolute error of the value of the physical quantity A. It is represented by delta A mean. So now here delta A mean. So you have to take all the positive value here and the mean of that one. So ultimately you will get delta A mean. So delta A mean is equal to modulus of delta A1 plus modulus of delta A2, or you can say all the positive values of delta A1, delta A2, delta A3 up to delta AN divided by n. So you can write here summation over I is equal to 1 to n delta AI modulus of delta AI upon n. So if we do a single measurement, the value we get may be in the range delta, that is A mean plus minus delta A mean. This implies that any measurement of a physical quantity A is likely to lie between, here the value A mean plus delta A mean and A mean minus delta A mean. That means any measurement of the physical quantity is likely to be between these two values. Next one, relative error. What is the relative error here? Relative error is the ratio of mean absolute error, that is delta A mean to the mean value of A mean of the quantity measured. The relative error is equal to mean of absolute error upon true value or arithmetic mean. That you can write relative error is equal to delta A mean upon A mean, or mean of all the observations. Then we will proceed for the percentage error. When the relative error is expressed in percent, it is called as the percentage error, and it is denoted by delta A here. So the percentage errors, you can write mean absolute error upon true value or arithmetic mean multiply by 100. So you will get in percentage. So percentage error in delta is equal to delta A mean upon delta A multiplied by 100, you will get the percentage error here. Then the combination of error. In an experiment involves several measurements, the error in all the measurements get combined. Example, here density is the ratio of mass to the volume of the substance. If there is an error in the measurement of mass and the size or dimensions, then there will be error in the density of the substance. This is very simple. That means if you are performing the experiment of this, you can say the density, then you know the formula density is equal to mass upon volume, or it's the ratio of mass to the volume. Suppose if you are measuring the mass and the error that means the error is occurring itself in that particular measurement, then that error will be continue. So if that error is continue, then ultimately there will be an error in the density of the substance. The first one is here error of a sum. So what is meant by error of a sum? Suppose you are here having two physical quantities A and B, which you have to be measured value. Then A plus minus delta A, B plus minus delta B respectively, where delta A and delta B are absolute error. That means A is the measured value and delta A plus minus delta A is called as an absolute error, and B plus minus delta B, where delta B is the absolute error in the measurement of the physical quantity that you are taking the reading B. So let Z is equal to A plus B. So I can write Z plus minus delta Z is equal to, putting the value of A here, A plus minus delta A plus B plus minus delta B, solving these two brackets and putting the value of A plus B as Z, then cancelling this Z from both the sides. You will get here plus minus delta Z is equal to plus minus delta A plus delta B. So what is the maximum possible error in the measurement of the physical quantity? So delta Z is equal to delta A plus delta B. So you can write, when the two quantities are added, the absolute error in the final result is the sum of the individual errors. That is the here conclusion here. Now if you can say error in the difference. So suppose you are having again the two physical quantities A and B. A and B have to be measured value, and delta B are again the absolute error. So if Z is that physical quantity by means of which this subtraction or subtraction I will take, then A minus B. So ultimately I can say Z plus minus delta Z is equal to, putting the value of A and B here in this equation. So A plus minus delta A minus B plus minus delta B. Solving this bracket, we will get A minus B plus minus delta A into delta B. So ultimately you can say here, so this sign should be here, plus A plus A minus B, then solve this one, you will get plus minus delta A plus minus delta B, you can see here, okay, plus minus delta B. So here the sign is somewhere missing here. So I can write ultimately this minus sign affects, see, minus into bracket plus minus, you will get here minus plus. So ultimately here you have to write minus plus of delta B. So Z, putting the value of A minus B, that is A minus B is equal to Z. So put this value here. So Z plus minus A plus delta B, that means taking the sign common plus minus this one. So delta A plus delta B, and you will get here, cancelling the Z from both the sides, you will get plus minus delta Z is equal to plus minus delta A plus delta B. So what is the conclusion here? The final you will get here delta Z is equal to delta A plus delta B. So when the two quantities are subtracted, the absolute error in the final result is the sum of the individual error. Again, what is in the error in the difference and error in the sum, also you will get the same values here. So when the two quantities are added or subtracted, this is the very final conclusion here. When the two quantities are added or subtracted, the absolute error in the final result is the sum of, here also you will get the sum, and the previous also you will get in the, you can say addition also you will get the sum, and the subtraction also you are getting the sum. So when two quantities are added or subtracted, the absolute error in the final result is the sum of the absolute errors in the individual quantities. That is the final conclusion we got from this 2-1. So third one, we will discuss error in the product. Now again, suppose the two physical quantity A and B have the measured values, and delta A and delta B are the absolute error, then you can say z is equal to a into b, or you can write a z is equal to a dot b. You can write like this also. So by putting the value of a and b here, then you will get z plus minus delta z is equal to multiply by second term from each term of this first bracket. So you will get ab plus minus a delta b plus minus b delta a plus delta a delta b. So these are the multiplication you will get. Dividing by z, so ultimately you will get to the side z plus minus delta z upon z. So you will get here z upon z is 1 plus minus delta z upon z is equal to AB's value is z here, you can say, therefore z upon z is equal to 1. So they divide this each term by delta, that means by, you can say, AB or z, you will get, and cancelling the term we will get 1 plus minus delta b upon b plus minus delta a upon a plus minus delta a delta b upon b. So finally we can say that here plus minus delta z upon z, cancelling this one on both side here. So delta z upon z is equal to plus minus delta b upon b plus minus delta a upon a. This term, since why we are neglecting this term? Because delta a and delta b are the absolute error. Its values comparatively the value of a and b are very small, and that too you are taking the division of these two. So ultimately you can say the value you will get in that particular measurement is very small. So we are neglecting that term, that since it's very small term. So finally you will get delta z upon d is equal to delta a upon a plus delta b upon b. So neglect this term. So what you can say from this conclusion, you will get when two quantities are multiplied, the relative error in the final result is the sum of the relative error of the individual quantities. This you will get the final conclusion here. Next one, error in the product. Alternative method, you can say, same whatever we have derived in the earlier one, you will get the same thing here. Suppose two physical quantities a and b have to be measured, and a plus minus delta a, b plus minus delta b respectively, are where delta a and delta b are the absolute error. Then z is equal to a into b. Dividing or applying the log on both sides, you will get log z is equal to log a into log b. You can write log a plus log b. So differentiating, we get delta z upon z is equal to delta a upon a plus delta b upon b. These are the alternative method for the error in the product. Now error in the quotient. Suppose two physical quantities a and b have to be measured. Again, a plus minus delta a, b plus minus delta b respectively, where delta a and delta b are the absolute error. These two are the absolute error. Then z is equal to a upon b. Okay, that means you can see we are dividing these two. So z is equal to a upon b. So z plus minus delta z is equal to, putting the value of a and b, so a plus minus delta a upon b plus minus delta b. So ultimately you can write here that z plus minus delta z is equal to a plus minus delta a. Take out b common from this one. So taking b common, you will get 1 plus minus delta b upon b. So ultimately I can write here z plus minus delta z is equal to a plus minus delta a upon b, this term, and this will be to this to the numerator, therefore exponent will be minus here. So just simply we are rearranging these terms here. So z plus minus delta z is equal to, again you separate this one, so a upon b plus minus delta a upon b into this bracket 1 plus minus or minus plus delta b upon b here, since you are taking the inverse of this one. So ultimately this sign will get changed here. So I can say here the you can say applying the binomial approximation, you will get here the z plus delta z is equal to a upon b plus minus a upon b into delta b upon b plus minus delta a upon b plus minus delta a upon b into delta b upon b. Simply just we are multiplying by each term to the second bracket. So ultimately we will get this type of expansion here. Now dividing LHS by z and RHS by a by b. So that means the value you are having here, z is equal to a by b. So we are having here, so plus minus delta z upon z is equal to plus minus delta b upon b plus minus delta a upon a. Therefore again this term, its value is very small, therefore it is neglected. So ultimately you will get delta z upon z is equal to delta a upon a plus delta b upon b. So I can say when two quantities are divided, the relative error in the final result is sum of the relative errors in the individual quantities. Now error in this is the alternative method by using the log of this one. So we can say z is equal to a upon b. So take the log on both sides. You will get log a upon log b is equal to log a minus b. So ultimately differentiating we get delta z upon z is equal to delta a upon a minus delta b upon b. So logically an error cannot be nullified by making another error. Therefore errors are not subtracted but they are added up. So we can say here delta z upon z is equal to delta a upon a plus delta b upon b. So now here the rules are when the two quantities are multiplied or divided, the relative errors in the final result is the sum of the relative errors in the individual quantities. Now dear friends, we will proceed for the next very important, that is called as the significant figures. So what is significant figures here? So whenever you are taking the number of readings, then suppose you have measured the value of the length and its value is 2.54 centimeter. So this 2.54, that means you got the length is equal to, you can say 2.54 centimeter. Okay. So these two digits are certain. 2.5 is certain one. These are called certain. But this 4 is called as uncertain. This is uncertain. So this, that means the number which is consist of some certain digits and one or last uncertain digit is called as the significant figures. Now whenever you are measuring the you can say taking the readings in any experiment, in that time the significant figure plays very important role. But for writing the significant, there are certain rules are there. So for counting the significant figures, the rules are, so these rules are very important. So first one, all non-zero digits are significant figures. That means 235, all non-zero digits are significant. There are 3 digits are there, therefore significant figure is 3. Second one, all 0 between 2 non-zero digits are significant figures. That means you are having 1 and 7. These are the 2 non-zero digits, and the zeros, 3 zeros are there in between these 2 digits. Therefore, you can say that the significant figure is 5. That means you have to count these zeros also. Therefore, all 0 between 2 non-zero digits are significant figures. Next one, all 0 to the right of non-zero digit but to the left of an understood decimal point are not significant. But such zeros are significant if they came from the measurement. So here there are 2 things are there. All zeros to the right of non-zero digit. For example, you are having 2400. Okay, you are having 2400. So what is the understood decimal point? Understood decimal point, this one. So this is the left side and this is the right side. So understood decimal points, you are having 2 zeros to the left. So you should not count these zeros. These are not significant. Therefore the significant figure is only 2 digits. This 2. But if the digit is came from the measurement, that means if you give the unit here, that is 2400 kilogram. Once you have given the digit, once you have given the, you can say unit, or you have measured this value, then you have to count this 2 zero also. Therefore the significant figure is 4 here. So once again you remember, if understood decimal point is there, then to the left of the understood decimal point, that zeros you don't have to count here. Therefore the significant figure will be 2 only. And if it is came from the measurement, then you have to count that one also. So this is the very important about the significant figure. Next, for counting the significant figures, the rules are all zeros to the right of non-zero digit. First one, all zeros to the right of non-zero digit but to the left of a decimal point. So if you are having decimal point, this one is the right side and you can say this is nothing but your left side. So all zeros to the right of non-zero digit but to the left of a decimal points are significant. For example, here the decimal point is after 300. So to the all zeros to the right of the non-zero digits. Non-zero digits but to the left of the decimal point. So to the left of the decimal point, 2 zeros are there, and you are having the digit 3. So to the right of this one digit and to the left of the decimal point, what are the zeros are there that are significant. That means you have to count that zeros also. So ultimately you can say the significant figure is your 5 you will get. Next one, all zeros to the right of decimal point are significant. Here 2.00. Okay, so you can count also these 2 zeros. So ultimately the significant figure is 3. Next one, all zeros to the right of the decimal point but to the left of first non-zero digit are not significant. Once again, all zeros to the right of decimal point but to the left of first non-zero digit are not significant. That means here you can say all zeros to the right of decimal point. Suppose you are having the decimal point here, but to the left of first non-zero digit. This is the first non-zero digit, that is 7. You should not count these zeros. Therefore, you will get significant figure 1 only. Then the number of significant figure does not depend on the system of unit. It means that suppose 2.65 centimeter. So you can write 26.5 millimeter or 0.265 meter. That means if you go on converting into a higher unit or lower unit, then in all the cases the significant figure will be the same. It will not change. That is the meaning of this one. That means it does not depend on the system of units. So here you can say CGS unit and SI units if you are taking, that is meter and that centimeter, etc. But it will not affect on the significant figures. So these are the things, dear friends, related with the significant figures. Now here some questions are given. State the number of significant figures in the following. For example, 0.007. So the significant figure is 1. You have to apply the previous rules for finding the significant figures. 6.032. The significant figures are 4. 2.64. Significant figures are 3. 0.2370. Significant figures are 4. So these are the how to find out the significant figures by using the previous rules. We have found that things. Now rounding off. Now there are, if you want to round off some numbers in terms of some decimal points, there are so many numbers after the decimal point, and if you want to round up the number, then certain rules are there. The result of computation with approximate numbers which contains more than one uncertain digit should be rounded off. Preceding digit is raised by 1 if the significant digit to be dropped is more than 5 and is left unchanged if the latter is less than 5. Very simple. Here 2.568, and if you want to drop this 6 here, this 8 here, then that means if you want to write up to 2 digit after the decimal point, then this preceding digit, that means if you want to skip this one, or if you don't want to write this 8 here, then if this preceding that means you can say the preceding is more than 5, that means you see preceding is 6 here, so 6 is more than 5, then you have to add 1. Okay, so ultimately you can say here 2.57 you get. But if it is, now you see here if you want to drop this 2, then its preceding is 4, but this 2 is less than 5, so 1 should not be added here, so it will be 3.64 only. So how to add 1? When the preceding number is, when the number you have to drop, you have to see that number is greater than 5, then if it is greater than 5, then you have to add 1 to the preceding number of that particular number which you are going to drop. And if the number which you are going to drop is less than 5, then you should not add 1 to the preceding number. So ultimately you will get that numbers will be the significant figures. Second one here, you can say, what about the number is 2.745 here, in which the significant figure is 5. Now if you want to drop this 5 here, see, here is the convention is that if the preceding digit is even, now see 4 is the preceding digit of the 5 and that is even. The insignificant digit is simply dropped, and it is, if it is odd, the preceding digit is raised by 1. So you can say here 2.745, the number which you want to drop, that is 5, and the preceding is 4, therefore you should not add in that one, so ultimately you will get the number 2.74. But if the number is odd, then here is say, if you want to drop this 5 and the preceding number is here odd, 3 is odd, then you have to add 1 in that one, so ultimately you will get 5.64. These are the rules for the significant figures. So I think how to round up these numbers, and while rounding up the number, what should be the taken care of by using the rules here, that you might have understood. Now round up the following numbers up to 2 decimal places. So here 2.038 here. So you can say here 2.04. Once again apply the previous rule. So you will get here, since it's 8 here, if you want to drop, the preceding should be raised by 1 here. Then 6.052. Then since the 2 is not greater than 5, so 1 should not be added here. So ultimately you will get 6.05. Now 7.625. Now if you want to drop 5, see the preceding digit, it is 2, it is even, keep it as it is. That means 1 should not be added there. Therefore 7.62 is the answer here. Now 0.2356. If you want to drop this 5 here, then the preceding digit is, you can say 3, which is odd, so you have to add 1 there, so ultimately you can say 0.24. So these are the, you can say, you rounded up the numbers up to 2 decimal places by using the rules here. So dear student, I hope here about the significant figures and rounding up the numbers, what certain precautions you have to take, you might have understood. Now we will proceed for the accuracy and precision. These are the two important concepts you will require for performing any experiment. So accuracy and precision, these two are very small things are there, means you can say, but its value is very more here. So accuracy means what? Suppose here I have shown here, you have to hit the target here. You have to hit the target, and all your hit here at the center only, on that target only. That means your accuracy is more. The accuracy of a measurement is relation to the true, nominal or accepted value. It is sometimes expressed as the percentage deviation from the known value. The known or true value is often based upon the reproducible measurement. These are the things which are related with the accuracy. Now what about the precision here? The precision, a measure of how close a series of measurement are to one another. Now you see here the difference between this and this. Actually your target is this one, but you will find that some are in this range, some are in this range. So how much they are very close to, you can say, the series of the measurement. So you can say here the precision means a measure of how close a series of measurements are to one another. That means if you are having any true value there, and if you have measured the value and certain errors are there, you can say, or you can say the precise value, if you are not getting there, that means this value is somewhat little bit very close to the true value here. So a measure of how exact a measurement is. Precision tells us to what resolution or limit the quantity is measured. So these are the two very important factors which are related with the accuracy and precision. So dear friends, in this today's lecture, we have discussed about the precision, accuracy, then significant figures here, how to round up the numbers here, then the errors involved in the measurement. So we have calculated the errors in the summation, errors in the difference, error in the you can say quotient, etc. And finally, I would like to say that this while you are performing an experiment, so you have to keep in mind about the errors that is going to be involved here, and you go on calculating that error also in that experiment, so that you will get the correct value, or how much is the differ in the value from the true value. So these are all the errors in the measurement involved that we have discussed in this particular chapter, in this particular topic today. So I hope you have enjoyed this lecture, and whenever you are performing any experiment there, please keep it in mind all this data, all these errors, how to calculate these errors, and you have to calculate that errors also in that particular experiment also, if their error is involved. So once again you go through this particular topic from your textbook and try to clear your concept there. Thank you very much.